Welcome to a special episode of the Capstone Conversation. This episode is not an interview, it is a candidate forum for State Senate District 3. We have partnered with the Paradise Valley Estates Homeowners Association, as well as the Solano County League of Women Voters, to bring you this special broadcast. Our partners at League of Women Voters have moderated this event that was held the first week in February of 2024. And at the time of this scheduling, we are currently the only candidate forum. This Senate seat will be on the ballot March 5th. Senator Dodd is term limited, and you have 4 people running in the March 5th primary. This district includes parts of Contra Costa, most of Solano County, parts of Yolo County, and parts of Napa County. We encourage you to listen and vote on March 5th. So we are honored to bring you this broadcast as a partnership with the League of Women Voters of Solano and Paradise Valley Estates and the Capstone Conversation. For more episodes of the Capstone Conversation, please hit subscribe to our YouTube channel or on your favorite podcast app. We have an episode coming out every Wednesday where we talk to your city and county politicians, and we talk about things that are happening in your conversation. It is a conversation about Capstone in your community and holding your government leaders accountable. This is our first broadcast of politics. Thank you for joining us for the Senate District 3 Candidate Forum. I'm your host, Jared Ash.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Rosana Verderoliga, City Council member and a mental health care provider. I am running for State Senate to carry the message that Sacramento's mindset must change, and it needs to change. We need to address disparities in healthcare, especially for the aging population, which I am one of you, and also to face the unprecedented mental health crisis head on. We need to tackle the divide between the rich and poor that is wider than ever. And the housing crisis in America has left many of us from owning the American dream, meaning owning a home. Women's healthcare choices and LGBTQ rights are being threatened. Climate change is an existential threat, and I care deeply about public education and our aging community. I am one of you. I'm an older adult, and 1 in 4 Californians will be 60 and above in 2030. So that is an issue we need to address head on. I'm a union member, been fighting for working families, spent my entire adult life protecting women's choices and also providing mental health care with Solano County Behavioral Health. I'm a licensed mental health therapist and just recently retired last December from the county. If elected, I will bring to the State Senate lived experience and collaborative skills and relentless advocacy for the issues that I mentioned earlier. I'm an immigrant from the Philippines. My father fought in World War II. My husband is a U.S. Army Corps veteran, and we raised 3 kids who all attended various public schools. And if elected to the State Senate, I will be a state senator who understands the many challenges we face as a community, most especially among the elderly, older adult population and community. I will be here as your voice, and I will be here to listen and to learn about your many issues that is impacting our district and our state. Thank you very much.
So if I start now, do I get more time?
I get more 10 more seconds.
One moment, please. When you're ready.
Okay. Can you hear me well enough? Okay. First, thank you for having me here, and thank you to the members of their staff in organizing this event. I am a former council member, former vice mayor, former mayor, current city council member, small business owner. In addition, I have served on the county regional committees such as Solano County Water Agency, Solano Transportation Authority, Solano Air Resource Board, Association Bay Area Governments, Planning Commission, and Executive Board. Some of our collaborative accomplishments, just some of them: improved public over water transportation throughout the Bay Area, added additional public ferry services, improve the Vallejo waterfront enhancements, planned bus transportation between the 9 counties and connecting routes to Sacramento, other cities, and colleges. Worked on additional public train stops and a program called The Last Mile, which is a connection from the train stop to people's place of employment. In addition to approving a program called Go-Go Grandparents, providing transportation for our senior citizens to their appointments and other needs. Approved the redevelopment of the truck inspection way stations on the I-80 corridor, improving the traffic flow for I-80 and the Highway 12 connection. Developed a roundabout, easing the flow of traffic and saving lives on Highway 12. Established a housing element in Dixon, which has provided several hundreds of all income-based housing from very low to medium income, and currently developing over another 127 units of affordable housing. In addition to this, approved multi-senior assisted living developments with another 65 units of assisted living development nearly completed. This is just some of the accomplishments and working together we have been able to accomplish. What is the saying? There is no I in team, but there is me and others. This is how we will continue to get things done, by working together in a collaborative effort with all stakeholders. We must elect those who are experienced in working together, not only legislators on the state level, but counties, cities, organizations, and private enterprise to meet the challenges we are faced with today. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn. Are we allowed to stand up? I like to connect with the people that I talk to and just sitting.
We
still.
prefer that the
Just
candidates
still.
remain seated.
Okay, thank you. Allow me to introduce myself. First of all, thank you for having me here tonight. I appreciate you guys taking your time to be here, to listen to what we have, and thank you for the opportunity. I am Jackie Elwood, a passionate leader who has taken significant strides to address homelessness in our community. During my tenure as a mayor, I successfully reduced the number of unhoused individuals from 250 to a mere 25. And I am proud to share that 10 of them were able to transition into permanent housing. The success of this program has garnered attention with county officials now are looking to replicate the work county-wide. As I set my sight on the state Senate, I am determined to tackle homelessness more systematically. Being the first Black woman mayor north of Golden Gate, I have tirelessly advocated for greener technology integration into our infrastructure. Environmental sustainability is close to my heart, and I believe that investing in a greener future is essential for our future. Moreover, as a proud mother of children who have gone through the public education system, I know firsthand the importance of quality education. That is why I have worked closely to fight for education, housing, homelessness, and environmental. I am here to earn your support and also to demonstrate that we can sure move away from the status quo and give the next generation a chance. Thank you.
Mr. Timer, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christopher Cabald, and I'm so excited to see everyone here. This is an example of the deep civic engagement here in Paradise Valley and with many of our neighbors as well throughout the city and the county. I'm running for Senate because I believe profoundly that we can do much, much better in California, and we have. This is the state that invented the entertainment industry and aerospace, that moved mountains and water and highways. We've done so much here, and we can tackle the biggest challenges. But I also know that locally. I served as mayor up in next door in Yolo County in West Sacramento for 20 years, transforming one of the poorest, most disrespected cities in the entire region into one of the most thriving, successful, diverse, equitable communities and sustainable ones as well. I also worked in the legislature on higher education policy. Most of you are all too young, but I worked for a gentleman named Tom Hayden, trying to lead work on environmental and education policy. Then I worked in the administrations of all 5 of the last governors from both parties to advance both environmental quality and education. But my own community shows the results. We're one of the top housing producers in all of California, affordable included. We have reduced unsheltered homelessness by 58% and then kept it low for 10 years. We've reduced crime rates, both violent and property. We've added more jobs than any other place in the region and cut our unemployment rate relative to everyone else as well. And some of you I know, since I've talked to you or even today, might have seen me testify at the California State Senate at the very beginning, before Flannery revealed itself. And in this environment, the state senate isn't a city council. It's not a talking shop, and opinions are a dime a dozen. It's really about what can we advance in the real world. That's why I'm proud to have the support of the Sierra Club and Planned Parenthood and so many local officials, and I'm looking forward to your questions today. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, we can all applaud them. Thank you. Okay. As we stated earlier, we have cards here. If you would like to submit a card, submit a question. Oh, I'm sorry. I know you heard me in the back, but I was told to grab this mic. You'll take the cards. Okay. We have cards. If you have a question that you would like to ask of the candidates, keep in mind your questions must be appropriate for all candidates. It will not be read specifically to one candidate. Okay? I'm going to repeat that. It must be a question to be asked of all 4 of the candidates. They all will respond to the same questions. All right? I have a couple of prepared questions while you get yours together. And the first question I'm posing, another thing, I didn't write the question. Okay? I'm concerned about the increasing struggle our local newspapers are facing. AB, Assembly Bill 886, the California Journalism Preservation Act, would tax internet groups like Facebook and give the money raised to news organizations to help preserve local journalism. A criticism I've heard is that the bill needs to be tightened to make sure the money goes to newspapers that serve mostly local people in California rather than to national publications. Are you familiar with this bill, and do you have any thoughts about it? I believe, Tom, you're the next.
Well, first of all, no, I'm not familiar with that bill. And I really couldn't hear part of the question, but from what I could hear, I believe I can answer towards it. I am a person who believes in free enterprise, and while I do put value on the different sources of news, we are a continuing adaptable society as we go forward. And for those who don't understand in the way social media is taking over the news agencies and have not adapted themselves to that, they will go to the side. It's just a natural course of the way things occur. Do I like picking up a newspaper, reading it? Absolutely. I still like the feel of having that paper in my hand and being able to reflect back and forth. But that is a reality that we're heading towards as younger generations and technologies take over. So while I don't understand the bill or the complete question, I would say that I would still lean towards free enterprise. Thank you.
Allow me to make a statement at this time, and I apologize, as I should have said this earlier. You can ask to have the question repeated, okay?
Please.
Sure. I wouldn't be able to allow you additional time, but I will reread the question if you still would like for me to
Okay,
read it.
please.
Okay.
Make sure I wasn't totally off track.
Okay, sir. I'm concerned about the increasing struggle our local newspapers are facing. AB Assembly Bill 886, the California Journalism Preservation Act, would text internet groups like Facebook and give the money raised to news organizations to help preserve local journalism. A criticism I've heard is that the bill needs to be tightened to make sure the money goes to newspapers that serve mostly local people in California, rather than to national publications. Are you familiar with this bill, and do you have any thoughts about it?
My answer would remain the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the one thing that I have to say, I haven't heard about that bill because there's so many bills going on, but what I've heard about that particular bill exactly, but I've heard about other bills that it's kind of similar to that one. What I'm gonna say is one of the things that communication and the work, as someone that is pro-work, pro-labor, pro-union, and pro all of that, I strongly believe that we need to protect any kind of job that can have. Back home in Sonoma County, we used to have the Press Democrat, which used to serve our large community. But overnight, it closed the building. And now we have people out of job and looking for other ways to survive. For me, I strongly believe that journalism is very important for either our local and national, because they bring in information that is so necessary for all our constituents. And for me, fighting to keep them and also not drifting too much to the internet. Unfortunately, it's here, but we need to find a balanced way to keep people working while receiving those funds that they need. And for me, I strongly believe that coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where communication and journalists don't have that freedom and don't have that access, it is very important to really protect and give those funding to both the local and the national the same way.
Great. This is a very important bill, and I'm glad the question was asked, because one of the most important foundations of our democracy is a free press, but a local one. And as mayor for 20 years, the local paper wrote a lot of wonderful things and some not so wonderful things, and raised questions, the sorts of things that will never get caught up by the Associated Press or by the McNeil-Lehrer report, the NewsHour. Those outfits cannot cover local politics and local communities, and that's where the action hits the road. The Vallejo Sun's a great example. It's a community-run paper by some deeply respected journalists who are asking all the questions that need to be asked and collecting the evidence, reporting on the police department, on the proposed cement plant that would have polluted neighborhoods. Or that without a local paper there, the local democracy and our national democracy suffers. These local papers, though, have had their content captured by Facebook and Apple and all the other technology giants. That's why this bill is here. The tech companies pull out the content, use it for their own aggregation and make money off of it, and the local papers and journalists get nothing. So this is an important bill. I think the add-on comment at the end also is important. We don't want to be passing legislation that taxes Mark Zuckerberg to give the money to Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post. Right? That's not the point here. The point is to protect local journalism, and it's why that bill that was up last year needs more work and it needs more debate. But the fundamental importance behind it is that we must protect the vitality of our democracy, and that can only happen when we have a free, funded, sustainable local press to back it up.
Thank you. AB 886 was a bill authored by Buffy Wicks. She's a Bay Area, legislator. And I'm all about freedom of speech, free press. I lived in a country, the Philippines, where free press was curtailed during martial law. It's very important that folks, whether it's youth, adults, and the general community, have access to free speech. And what we must really be cautious about, because the ongoing influx of social media, that's what our young people are glued to now. And sometimes they get good news, fake news. It's really very difficult to distinguish. And we also, as adults and seniors, have been bombarded with all kinds of news. So, how do we, filter that? Who do we believe? And so, other than, it's a good legislation, I believe it needs to be tweaked. And those social platforms, whatever money they make from all their social media enterprise, needs to be mindful that local journalism, written newspapers at the local level, needs to be preserved, and they need to offer part of their profits to make sure that the local news reporters are employed, because it's also about jobs. We have a lot of journalists who are young people that need to have the experience and the mentoring and coaching to be good journalists and to report the facts. And again, I support freedom of speech at any level. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to ask a question that came from the audience. All four of you have mentioned the environment. What specific actions would you support? Yes.
Yes, for me, the action, I've been taking already action since day one, before even becoming an elected official. I made sure that I worked on a Measure B, that was put together to protect our off-growth boundaries for the city of Honor Park for the next 30 years. I worked with the Greenbelt Alliance, and we were able to successfully pass that measure. And also, I have been continuously being active in a community and making sure that in my city council, when we have people even that come to build or come to do anything in our city, to make sure that the environmental element is put on the table. One example, the city of Honor Park really banned the use of or adding more gas station in the city. Why? Because we don't need more gas station. Instead, we really encourage our constituent to lean to clean energy. The second thing is that I have been actively out there really. When we did our general plan, we also added an environmental justice element into our general plan. And that is one of the things that for me personally, I'm not coming as just to say I am someone that will take care of the environment. I am doing it as we speak on the level of my city council, my kids' school, and I'm gonna continue it on the state level as well.
right, thank you. So I mentioned at my opening remarks that my campaign's been endorsed by the Sierra Club and also by the Solano County Orderly Growth Committee. But let me tell you why. I've been working on environmental protection for my entire life. My major was environmental policy at UC Berkeley, and I joined as mayor of one of the very first mayors in the country to join what was called the Mayor's Climate Protection Agreement. And there was a president way back then, George Bush, who refused to sign the Kyoto protocols around climate protection. And the mayors of America, we stepped up. 500 of us said, we will implement those protocols in our cities. Forget the politics. They make good economic sense too, to electrify, to install solar, to run transit. And it became a groundbreaking international agreement that inspired action across a wide array of countries. For 20 years, I served on the Delta Protection Commission and on the Water Quality Control Board for the state of California as an appointee of Governor Davis and Governor Schwarzenegger, fighting against polluters in agriculture and in industry throughout the Central Valley and the coast. I led the successful efforts locally to close down 2 petroleum plants and close a cement plant that was threatening our community as well. These are the kinds of actions that are necessary if we're going to accelerate the transition from fossil fuels over time to promote our efforts on climate change. California is the 4th or 5th largest economy in the world. We need to help residents, small businesses, nonprofits in this state advance dramatic environmental improvements to support our efforts in that work. Then lastly, I will say that one of the top priorities that I will have in the Senate is California Forever and Flannery. There will be no other senator representing that area, and it's absolutely incumbent that we fight hard to assure that the environmental sustainability of Solano County, its agriculture, its people, and its critters is protected as we move forward. And after the vote's taken by the people, there will be so many state regulations and grants and other things necessary to make it happen if it passes, or to make sure that it's held accountable, and I promise to do that.
Yes, great question. I'm Rosanna Verderaliga. I am the officially endorsed candidate of the California Democratic Party. So knowing that climate change is a huge priority and issue for the California Democratic Party. Climate change is an existential threat, and California has already seen the devastating effects of climate change, wildfires, flooding, and drought in the last few years. However, California has been the leader in protecting our environment in this nation, but we have much more to do, we know that. It's costing lives, homes, and livelihoods, and it costs taxpayers billions of dollars in public infrastructure damage annually. Highway 37 is an example of that. It will be underwater in 20 years. And the transportation is the largest source of emissions. And so I support the SB 100 policy of zero carbon grid by 2045. And that's a lofty goal by the governor, and I support that. We need to advance solar, wind, and geothermal projects, as well as storage. And preventing massive wildfires is also critical, because just one wildfire will devastate the progress that we have made. And I'm a proponent of working with agriculture on climate smart farming, because this district is made up not just of Solano County, but also Yolo, Napa, and 3 other counties. And half of this District 3 is agriculture. We need to make sure that they are also protected and from wildfires as well as flooding and drought. So thank you.
It's odd. I always feel like I'm the one with the... Oh, I'm sorry.
The timer.
Oh, waiting for your timer. No. I'm the one who always feel like I have the inside secret, because I see what people are doing with the climate change, excuse me, and how no one is accounting for the fact that, yes, we want it by 2035, 2045. Doesn't matter if we don't have the ability to do it. Doesn't matter if we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the power sources. None of that matters, but we have cities shutting down their gas stations now, disallowing them now in anticipation of this. The state of California right now does not even have the ability to manage what we have going on with solar now, let alone Solano County. Solano County can't handle any more solar. Go check with your representatives on your councils and ask them. They'll tell you the same thing. We're getting stuck. And if carbon credits were, or I'm sorry, if it was such a big issue and they really wanted to control this, why do they still sell carbon credits to other industries? I mean, it doesn't matter if you pollute, I'll clean up some, I'll sell you my carbon credits so you keep right on polluting. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Do they stop it? No. We still sell carbon credits, so they're really not that concerned. My position is we need to diversify our resources, not limit them, and continue improving on the fossil fuels that we do have. And that's the way we need to go, because right now we couldn't do it if we wanted to, and electric companies have told them this again and again, but they don't care. They keep making the money off of it. And they invest $14 million in fossil fuels, our legislators do. I haven't found any yet that invest in green energy. Thank you.
All right, take a deep breath. Go ahead and breathe. Yes, you can take a sip of water even. Okay. Another question from the audience. And Mr. Gabolden, you will begin. Please explain your position on the plenary group's priorities. Especially, there's more, especially water, transportation, and the comment from Jan S. The investment the investors are willing to wait 30 to 40 years for a return on investment. Is that okay? You need to hear it again, or you ready to go?
Question, yes, but no, it's not okay.
Just a minute.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you're right, okay. So thanks for that. I've already touched on Flannery a bit and also helped the state try to figure out what some of these questions are. So here's what I think, that on water as an example, we don't have the answers that we need to vote yes or no on this proposal. On transportation, we don't have the answers that we need. And just purely as a business contract, right? I've done this ballot measure proposes a contract between Solano County and the developer. As a mayor, I've done 100 of these different contracts between the city and a developer. And like a house purchase, it's a back and forth. Just like you would say, oh, well, okay, I want this much money and I want you to leave the fridge. They respond back, no, I'm taking the fridge, but we'll lower the price a little bit. That's how development agreements work. In no city do you ever take the developer's first proposal as the development agreement. So environmental issues aside just for a moment, just think about this as a responsible business decision, and it requires a lot more than just the first best proposal by Flannery. On water, the real issue in water is not water rights. There's more than enough water rights at the property. The issue is you cannot drink water rights. There isn't enough water already. So the people of Vallejo and American Canyon know this well already, even though they have this much water rights over the last several years, because there's not enough water in the North Bay Aqueduct, they can't get it. They've been curtailed for their water. So add another 50 or 400,000 people claiming the same water plus the groundwater, and you can see what the challenge is. And so Flannery has to be held accountable for that. Transportation, the same way. The project's not eligible for state and federal transportation money. So somebody has to pay for that, and the Flannery ballot measure doesn't cover transportation. So these are the kinds of critical questions that any self-respecting city or county would ask itself, and we as the people of this district and of this community need to be asking those questions before casting a vote, and then the state has to play its role to assure accountability for whatever project might move forward.
I hear my beautiful city of... Oh. Yes, sir. I've heard my beautiful city of Vallejo mentioned here so many times. I've lived in Vallejo since 1981, raised my family there, and have been a resident of Solano County since 1981. But let me get to the Flannery project. Who among you here would like billionaires to benefit from this Flannery project if it gets built? Raise your hand. Who? I don't think any one of you would like our billionaires to benefit from that project, because it started from secrecy from day one. A lot of things, many, many questions. I have an appointment to meet with the Flannery Group here in the next few weeks. And in fact, if this happens, the Flannery project will change the very character of our Solano County where we all live. So there are many, many questions. It's going to impact, the Solano County Orderly Growth actually has a law or ordinance in place that before you convert agricultural land into a development, it needs to go to the vote of the people. So you will have an opportunity. This is a democracy to vote yes or no on this project in the November 2024 ballot. But it's very important that we are fully informed. Water is a precious resource. It's the gold now, okay? Water, Vallejo happens to have lots of water rights, and we're willing to share, of course, that with our residents in our county. So there is serious concerns about infrastructure of Flannery. There's moderate rainfall in the Flannery, 66,000 acres of property that they bought, and actually coerced some of the farmers. So there's litigation happening there. And also there is also serious concerns on the encroachment on our military base, Travis Air Force Base. My husband was in the military, and we want to make sure that our security is maintained. And so there's serious concerns, not just water, but infrastructure, congestion, pollution, and transportation. So many more things that need to be said, and please stay informed before you make a decision, because it's you, residents of Solano County, like me, who will make that decision in November. So stay tuned and stay informed. Thank you very much.
I myself,
Wait.
okay. I myself, I don't really care who makes what money on what. Private enterprise developers has what's made our state going around since the beginning. I don't really have a lot of concern about what they want to do on their property, as long as it doesn't impact us. But here's where the problem lies. It will impact us. Again, how are they going to move transportation in and out? How are they going to supply water? Have huge water treatment plants? And actually, most of the water that comes from the Sacramento River is already spoken for by local agencies, and some agencies are even borrowing those rights from other cities in the meantime. It goes directly after our agricultural land, but again, farmers didn't have to sell it to them, but they did. That's not our business. That's private business. Would I support it as an individual? No, I wouldn't. Especially when I know once they start building, those airplanes start flying over, here comes the complaints. And it's gonna be like, the Air Force was there before you were. Get used to it. But by and large, they'll probably end up being able to put something together to force our airplanes to take some other route, even though I would strongly oppose that also. So anyway, that's my position now. 30 to 40-year return. That sounds like some other foreign investors that work under the same premise of long-term investments beyond their own generation. So I question their investors.
Thank you. I will say this, when our constituent came out and put out a list for people to endorse the cry, I was one of the people that signed into that petition to stop the Flannery. Why? Because the people spoken. And we know that already the way about it, the water that we have, we are struggling already between the homes, the businesses, and the farmers to really get a hold of how the water will be distributed. We are struggling. Bringing another city will be another level of stress that the people are not even done dealing with what they have, yet we're gonna bring them more. When it comes to transportation, well, already we have a frail transportation infrastructure that needs to be rebuilt and need to be worked on. That hasn't been taken care of yet. And we still have the people of Solano that are still struggling, and we know most of the people in Solano County are not rich. They are the working class families that are still struggling when it comes to these kind of things. And environmental, we're not just gonna worry about the environmental, the water, we have the transportation, and we have our family farmers that have been here for a long time that are forced to lose their properties. For me, I think we can talk all along about the California forever, but they need to really prove that they can do what they say. As long as the constituents are not sure about what their concerns are being met, I will stand by their side until we find a solution and work together.
Okay. Now, we know that this was to be an 1-hour forum. We have several additional questions. So I have a question of the candidates. Do you have time to answer maybe 2 more questions and then your closing statement? If you don't, we understand.
I am here for you.
You're
Whatever
good.
you need.
2 more questions.
Whatever I need.
2 more questions is good. Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Okay. You
I
see,
vote aye. I vote aye.
we'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. All right. Now, keeping the process fair, we got it cleared with each of the candidates. And now, if any of you will need to not sneak out, but walk out, feel free to do so. But we do have several additional questions, and why don't we get at least 2 more, and then their closing statements. Is that okay with you? Okay, in the affirmative. All right, here we go. Senate Bill, put these glasses down. Senate Bill 525 dramatically increased wages for healthcare workers. It was signed by the governor, but has now been put on hold. It will have a major impact on costs for nursing homes, hospitals, and places like Paradise Valley Estates, impacting people's ability to pay for healthcare services. What do you think should happen with this bill? And I'm just going to read this next part. The first part was a prepared question, and this is one coming directly from a member of the audience. The new minimum wage bill for healthcare workers is probably going to be reviewed and possibly delayed because of the budget expenses. Again, what is your position? Are we good? Good to go? All right, the person to speak up now, I believe, is the lady we began with, Rosanna.
Yes, great question. You know, as a mental health care provider, you know, mental health is all part of health. I am not very happy with that bill or that law being delayed, okay? Let's face it, health care is priority, not just for children, not just for adolescents, not just for veterans, but for all of us, especially our older adult community. I know and I understand. My parents, you know, lived into their 80s and 90s. A caregiver, a trained caregiver, you know, nursing care, and, you know, caregivers, the home health care, the providers are so key. They do a very difficult job. Not many folks want to be caregivers. That's not an easy job because, you have to have that special heart and compassion, helping and taking care of our older adult population. I am against it being rolled back or being cut. The governor and the legislature already passed that, and they should go back and look at their budget and look at the values. What are our values? Caring for people who are homeless, caring for our older adult, caring for education, because they are our future. The kids are the future of our community. But it's also very important that we care about us. 1 in 4 Californians will be an older adult, 60 and above, in 2030. That population, which will include me, or includes me, will be 1/4 of California's population. We will be the largest population and group in the state. We want to make sure that we live, comfortable and also comfortable lives with the adequate healthcare, housing, caregiver, and also for us to enjoy the benefits of good living. Now that, because we've worked so very hard to earn a living and want to spend time with our children, and our grandchildren, because I'm going to be a grandmother here in the month of May. So I empathize and feel what you will be going through. Thank you.
What do the ones who pass these kind of bills really care when it comes to us average everyday citizens? I get it. Who doesn't want to make $30, $40, $50, $100 an hour? That'd be great, until you find out what it costs you off the backside, and the cost of impacts to our economy, to our own personal ability to purchase even food to survive on. I mean, I know everybody in here has gone in there and said, wow, for $75, I used to be able to fill up this shopping cart. Now I walk out with a bag or two. Well, these are what these type of bills do to us. They have no consideration of the long-term impacts on us everyday citizens who don't make that kind of money every day. We just don't. Just like within this bill is I believe, is also the increase to the minimum wage of $20 an hour. What's the fast foods industry's response to that? Lay off 50,000 workers, become more automated. And what is that going to do to our cost? It's going to continue to drive it up. So until they can figure out how to make a budget that actually benefits the citizens on an equitable fashion, I can't support a bill like this. I just can't. Healthcare is out the roof now. Thank you.
Good. I strongly believe that the bill should have been put into a law already. These folks, the healthcare, people that work in the healthcare system, they take care of us. They took care of us during COVID. Some of them lost their lives. Some of them work shift, and a lot of time, they don't go back to their own families. I have lost friends that worked in the healthcare system. They fight every single day. They take care of our elder person, and if they are not back to work, who is gonna suffer? The people are gonna suffer. And for me, I strongly believe that this should be taken care of ASAP, because they deserve what they are earning. For the work that they do every day, they make sure that our elders are taken care of. They make sure sometimes they go out of their way to take care of us. Me personally, I am speaking here because one of them gave me a chance to be here today. After my 3rd child, my body went into frenzy. I couldn't really move. I almost died. And these people went above and beyond to make sure that today I have a second chance in life. And guess what? I am going to fight for them, and that bill should be already being turned into law. We have our priorities. They give us their time, their lives. We should make them a priority. Anybody that work hard has to be the priority because we waste so much money on other things. What is our priority? This should be our priority because today we have healthy people. Thank you.
Right. Well, let me say first, the state budget is a mess. We have a $68 billion shortfall after many years of almost money we didn't know how to spend as a state. So that's a lot of money, even today, $68 billion. And so the governor's proposal has to be considered. The governor's proposal to reconsider the timing of last year's minimum wage law. But the tragedy here is that so many healthcare workers and their families who saw the big press releases, they saw the newsletters from all the organizations saying, congratulations, we won. Minimum wage is going up to $25 starting in January. They made plans. They said, okay, my rent's going up, but I can afford it. I'll sign a lease extension. You know, daughter, yes, you can go to college. They took us at our word as a state that minimum wage was going up. It costs the state of California, though, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's no small amount of money. The state employs a lot of healthcare workers. And so now the tragedy is this choice that's been put before us. But the crazy part of this is it was all avoidable. If the legislature and the governor had done their job last year and said, how much is this going to cost? Can we afford it? We wouldn't be in this position, and we would not be putting these healthcare workers and their families on the line. So they are paying the price right now under this proposal because the legislature and governor don't take seriously. It's so easy to make promises, to say everybody deserves something, but government's not just about giving out what people deserve. You have to make it work. Like, where's the money? How do the gears work? Who's going to allocate it? Is there staff in there? Like, it's a job. And we have to treat it that way. And this is one of the worst examples of what happens when we get it wrong, and real people and their families are paying the price. You know that here at Paradise Valley, long-term care is already out of the roof. Healthcare is out of the roof. That's why it costs hundreds of millions of dollars. We have to get those costs under control and meet the needs of these workers and their families. We have to do both.
Okay, we're now down to the last question. Okay, and the housing.
The what?
The housing.
Oh, housing.
Yes,
my favorite.
the housing needs. The housing needs of a growing population are real and acute. How would you balance the needs for affordable housing with the impact of the increase in population on the highways congestion and the real limited water resources? You ready to begin?
I'm ready to begin.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, when it comes to the housing, like what happened within, the city of Dixon, where we created a level of affordable housing that had to be incorporated into each project going forth, which, by the way, our county also has a lot of those put into their policies also with developments coming in, that they have to have an affordability element built into it. And the state requires us to have that also. The biggest surprise I have is, and this may be surprising to many others also, is that Solano County, as of 2022, just a little over a year ago, had a homeless population, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger for ones they didn't count, had a population of about 1,500 for the county. The biggest problem with housing has to do with when you start going into the Bay Area towards San Francisco and heading on down south. So considering what the populations of homeless are in this district, I'm kind of shocked that we haven't dealt with it already. I mean, the governor's turned loose $28 billion for projects. Why aren't we building them? Why aren't we moving forward? That's just something that I don't understand. I forgot the second half of the question and timing out. Thank you.
Can I have the question repeated, please?
The housing needs of a growing population are real and acute. How would you balance the needs for affordable housing with the impact of the increase in population on the highways congestion and the real limited water resources? I didn't use 2 minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. One of the things that I'm really proud to say that the city of Roanoke Park, we have received an award from the government, a Pro Housing Award from the governor a few months ago. And I have to say that the people are already here. I mean, we can see them, they're all over the places, but some of them don't have housing. And the way I personally have been addressing it is, in the city of Roanoke Park, we have made it mandatory that when we have someone, a builder that comes to try to build into our community, we make sure that we have a percentage of affordable housing that is dedicated to our constituent. And that is mandatory. And we also make sure that as part of what I have done with the city of Roanoke Park, we also have made sure that when we talk about housing and the affordability, we need to really think about what is really affordable. Because when we see what they say affordable, most of the people cannot even get into it, even those that have jobs. So for me, my role and my advocacy has been, if we are going to be building more homes and creating those spaces that sometimes stayed empty for years, we need to make sure that the people, especially the homeless, get a way to get into those housing. And we need to create that. Talking about California not having enough of funding, we have wasted already enough on building that stay empty for years, and we can always take those buildings and turn them into housing that those that are on the street, the population won't stop growing, and put them into housing that we can see them grow.
So I mentioned the $68 billion deficit that we face as a state, and unlike a school district or a city, the state is not allowed under the Constitution to go bankrupt. We have to make it balance. And so a lot of our strategies in the last several years have been spend money, and much of it needed, but also some of it not spent very well. But here's the good news, and that is that we actually don't need to accommodate millions and millions of more people. California is actually not growing that fast. The point is we don't have enough housing where we need it for the people that is affordable. It's not so much about adding 10 million more people like it used to be 2 decades ago. And the other good news is that when we build housing, infill housing in existing communities, that water use is 20, 30, sometimes 40% less than it was a decade ago. We are achieving, through conservation measures, better engineering, much, much better water efficiency. And so we know what to do, which is to build in the existing communities, to take an old gas station or laundromat that closed down 10 years ago and build on that site. Don't go out and build in habitat and farmland in open space, but build where there's already infrastructure, where's the possibility at least of good public transit that works, and it will keep people off the highways as well. That's why we're one of the top 15 housing producers in the state, including in affordable, and yet we shrunk our footprint on the land. We declared we're no longer, not only we're not going to grow as much as we thought outside of our borders, but we're going to grow less, but we'll grow more people. So it's absolutely possible, I know, because we've done it. We won the national award from the Obama administration for environmental leadership on housing, and Governor Schwarzenegger's environmental and economic leadership award as well. It is absolutely possible. State policy has to make it more likely that where we build is smart, sustainable, and, since we're here in Solano, orderly.
Thank you. Well, housing is a top priority. It will be one of my priorities when I'm elected to the state senate because it impacts our economy, our financial security, quality of life, traffic, and our environment due to long commutes. We want to make sure that folks live and work, in the same location. However, that is not the case today. We know that California needs to build 2.5 million homes, and we have been lagging. However, thanks to the pro-housing policies over the recent years, California has actually added more than 123 housing units in 2022. But we have not seen any growth levels since 2008. And so there's no silver bullet. Many young people, millennials, have come back to live at home with their parents because renting a home or an apartment is so expensive. So we need to make investments through tax credits with our developers, work with our lenders so that they are able to give lower interest rates to first-time home buyers and help them with down payments. And also encourage incentives like density bonuses for ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, which most cities in the district have already approved. And also work on fair zoning and permitting processes that encourage infill. We need to make sure that we balance both market rate and affordable housing units, not just affordable, but working, or make sure we build workforce housing so that teachers, medical providers, regular, working people are able to own the American dream, and that is owning a home in our great city, great state, and great nation of America. That is my goal, and I'll make sure that I will be that voice when I'm elected to the state senate.
Perfect
Right on
timing.
mark.
Perfect. Okay. Well, now comes the moment, and you get to lead it off. You have 3 minutes to. Oh, it's 2 for the. Who said that?
Actually, it was 2 for the opening, 3 for the closing.
Yes.
Val, I need 1.
That's what I have here. 3. However, if you don't need the whole 3, you're not forced to take it,
So I'll have to make up things so that.
You don't have to, no,
Oh,
you don't
okay.
have to do that at all.
Thank goodness for that.
Whew, I
I'm a little
know.
tired today.
I heard that. Okay, at this time, you're going to share your highlights. Please take advantage of the time, and we have a timekeeper here, and I'm going to take my seat so you can get started.
Okay. First I want to thank you for this event. In closing, you have heard all the committees locally and regionally that I have been an honored member of and accomplishments achieved. And there have been many. Now I want to add to those accomplishments with my personal experiences and what I believe to be my greatest achievements. Not to diminish those previously mentioned or those that we've worked on together in these different committees across the region and locally. Just shall I say, is my biggest reason, or what gives me the drive to continue and the joy of service. To put it simply, it is being able to assist others, such as you, the regular, everyday individual. I enjoy having the authority of position to help individuals in going after their goals and dreams in life, to assist others in getting through approval processes, to understand how governance and processes work. All else previously mentioned is needed in moving us forward as a society, in meeting the needs of the masses. What I enjoy most is helping the average everyday person who doesn't have the experience with government and how to accomplish their dreams from dealing with the government. It's what I do. We are either all in this together or we're not. So I'm not the smoothest speaker, as you can tell, but people know me, that I am very driven towards average everyday people and the challenges that we face together. You know, just like the healthcare thing. Did they take in consideration how much your share of cost for Medicare is when they raised that up? And how that's going to increase your cost also, my cost? I'm due for retirement in 3 years, just so you know. So, but the point is oftentimes these bills don't take us into consideration. We are literally free-range humans living on a tax farm. The first one's taxed and the last one's considered. When are we going to start being looked at? When are we going to be considered moving forward? And that is the platform I run on. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me tonight and giving me the opportunity to speak to you and really for you to hear what I sound like, what I look like outside the TV and all of that. We need a state senator who will do the right thing, even when no one is looking. My values are your values. Helping those in need, lifting up all voices, and work to ensure that our best days are still to come. I'm bringing hope to this race. Often we talk about lifting up the younger generation. I am the youngest in the race, but we have a whole league and whole bunch of youngsters that's out there, and that their dreams are being shattered because we see that when comes election time, we often stay with the status quo because a lot of us don't want to bring the change, even when we ask for the change. When the change is in the front of us, we always say and find reason not to bring that change. Right now, we have the opportunity to move away from the status quo and put into place someone that will be bold and do the right thing. Just like I did for the city of Roanoke Park, when people had no hope, I came in. It didn't take me 20, 30 years, but 2 years into me sitting in that seat, I was able to accomplish and do what my constituent put me to do. And today we have a result. I put in place programs that now are being used by other jurisdictions, not just Roanoke Park. The county is using it. The city of Vallejo have been calling the city of Roanoke Park to find out how we have been dealing with the homeless situation, with the public safety, and so many more. So if I was able to do that and take that bold step and accomplish everything that we have done for the city of Roanoke Park and the county of Sonoma, I am dedicated to bring that on the state level. We don't need to wait another 12 years to put the right person to that chair. And now you have that opportunity. So thank you again for having me, and so much to see you guys' faces, and I miss my grandma that is proudly watching over me right now. Thank you so much.
All right. A couple years ago, I was invited to give the commencement address at Solano Community College. And I thought about what message I wanted to share with the graduating class that year. And it was a tough year. And I urged the students to think of themselves as urgent optimists. Urgent optimists because it feels today like there's so many overlapping crises. Everything is a crisis, and everything sometimes seems hopeless. And if you think maybe you're making some progress on something else got worse. But the only way change ever happens is when we believe that it can, and when we believe in each other to make it real. No change happens because we just sit on our Facebook and just post it one more time. It's because we believe in the power of collaboration, including with those that we don't agree with, in order to make real change occur. A couple of years after that, I was invited by the AARP to represent the United States at an international forum showcasing best practices of local cities in creating livable communities for their residents of all ages. Not thinking about how to divide up communities by age, but instead create places that were friendly at all ages, for children, for seniors, for everyone in between, and all of our diverse lifestyles. I know it's possible because we've done it, even in a small city like mine, but I also know it's possible because we've done it at the state level on environmental and education policy, even at the national level, when President Obama appointed me to the National College Promise Board, chaired by Dr. Jill Biden, in order to advance the cause of debt-free community college for every American, an initiative that we had already piloted in my own city. So if we want, this year in particular, the power and the strength of our democracy is at stake. But one of the things that we know about democracy, it turns out, I'm a college professor too, so I'll just say this, is that citizens' trust in democracy and in government isn't based on whether they agree with it. Actually, we often think it does. Does the government share my views today? Actually, the thing that drives trust the most is, did government do what it said it was going to do? That's the definition for most voters, for most citizens, about what trustworthiness is. And it's why I focused in my own career at the state, local, and national level on delivering results, getting the job done. The fact of the matter is we mostly agree, at least the Democrats on the table, we mostly agree on most of the issues. That's a given in today's California. But the issue is, how are we going to achieve it? How are we going to advance it in a way that brings everybody to the table to understand the consequences of what we're doing and all the partners that are going to need in order to make that success? I've seen that happen in my community. It's been the most fulfilling, uplifting calling that anyone could ever experience, to serve your community and then get it done. I'm committed to doing that on the Senate on your behalf. I will be a champion for all of us, for Solano County, for the residents here in Paradise Valley. I'm excited about the opportunity. I know what's possible when we work together. And please, I'm Christopher Cabalden, and I hope that you'll consider sharing your vote with me in a couple of, ballots are out next week. So please cast your vote. Thank you so much today.
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this conversation. I am Council Member Vallejo, Dr. Rosana Verder Aliga. I'm a wife, mother of 3 sons, a soon-to-be grandmother, and very proud of that, as well as a public servant for 28 years. I come with significant experience, strong support base in District 3, supported and endorsed by Senator Bill Dodd, Assemblymember Lori Wilson, both staunch supporters of our community, as well as Congressman Dora Mendy and Board of Supervisors for Solano County. As the first Filipino American elected to public office in Vallejo and Solano County, I would be the first Filipino American elected to the state Senate, if that is what he wills. I pursue the American dream, to have a better life for my family, through sacrifice, hard work, getting an education, and my husband, both of us are public servants. I'm very grateful to having had the opportunity to serve, to be your representative. I've taken the oath of office 8 times on the school board, county school board, and city council, And every time I take the oath of office, I tear up because only in America can dreams come true. And I'm very grateful, and I want to give back. We've worked very hard in Vallejo turning our community from ashes. You know what happened with the bankruptcy and the closure of Mare Island. 2014, I started serving on the city council, and today we have a $24 million reserve in the city of Vallejo. We worked very hard, and it was just not me. I worked with my colleagues, mayor, city staff, and the community to be where we are in terms of our fiscal stability. I need your input on how we can help our state and our district be better, to be a stronger California. I will listen to your suggestions and to your ideas. Listening is my superpower because, you know, I'm a therapist, a licensed marriage family therapist. For the most part, I'm pragmatic, thoughtful, resilient, compassionate, and a common sense type of individual. I'm your next door neighbor. You know, I've lived in Solano County for 41 years and in Vallejo since 1981. And I've been listening to community concerns, to veterans, adults, and the senior community, as well as children and families. I do not back away from challenges, and I know how daunting some of the issues that face us as a state and as a district. But that is what motivates me. I can make the tough decisions because I've done that. I want to make and improve our state for the folks now, for our children, for our future, and for our aging population, so that people will have a place to have opportunities, hope, and hope.
Thank
Hope,
you,
support,
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Okay, this ends the forum, and I'm going to ask Dwayne Chrome. Well, here's Alice, or
I can talk. Okay, a couple of things. First, I would like to thank all the candidates for their thoughtful comments, their thoughtful responses. Yes. For giving up time. I mean, granted, they're looking for a vote, but for giving their time. We appreciate your participation. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for basically everything they do, but especially for sponsoring this forum.
so I'm going to share with you some information that guide the way that the League of Women Voters perform or moderate forums or debates. The League is a nonpartisan organization by history and by law. The League does not support or oppose candidates or political parties. It has always been so. The League of Women Voters of California is a 501c3 Internal Revenue Code organization that is allowed to conduct education activities such as candidate forums, debates, as long as it does not participate in or intervene in, including the publishing or distributing of statements.
Wait, don't leave yet. Hit subscribe. Make sure you get the weekly updates. We have a new episode every Wednesday for stuff happening in the East Bay. In the meantime, follow me on LinkedIn, Jared Ash, or check out our firm where we have a weekly newsletter and blog at Capstone Government Affairs on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us today on the Capstone Conversation.